Ahoy, friends. It's me, Dave Landau. After a long night on stage, I like to kick back with a captain's hat and a fine cigar and watch the Dennis and Andy show. These guys are huge nerds, but they're the kind that you actually want to hang out with. Enjoy them. I do.
Side of the highway. He's going to kill somebody. God. Hey! Hey!
What's going on? Joker wants to race. All right, come on. Let's go. Let's go.
Put your window down!
He wants something. He's probably drunk.
You're going the wrong way!
What?
You're going the wrong way!
We're going. Yeah, how did he know? Thank you. Thank you.
You're going in the wrong direction! You're going to kill somebody! You're going the wrong way! What is it?
Hey, come on. Let's go, Captain Lindpress. Try again. Hey, everybody, is there a window open? I feel a draft. Wanted a kiss and call your mother. That was a good one.
Hey, prehistoric forest.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Andy. I shouldn't have called the apple fritter a donut.
Really? What changed your mind?
Well, might have been that 2x4 you hit me with out there. Hurts here, a little bit here, but mostly here.
Yeah, well, Miss, are apple fritters donuts?
Absolutely.
I knew it. Yeah, well, anyways, I'll have a waffle.
Well, hello, everybody. It is Wednesday afternoon at 3 p.m. That means it's time for the Dennis and Andy show, minus the Dennis. He had a previous engagement he had to go to today. So I was like, whatever you think is more important than the show, you go and do. I'll handle it as usual. So he's off gallivanting around town somewhere, doing something. I don't know what, but we're still going to have a lot of fun today. We've got a guest. Geoff Grogan is back. He's got a campaign that actually ends in 16 hours. So I figured let's talk about that. And then Geoff and I are both huge Gil Kane fans. So we're going to talk about Gil Kane, show some artwork, and just dive into a little fun Gil Kane talk. Joe Bernardo in the house. No, he's not on vacation today. He just had an appointment that popped up last week. And on Thursday, when we met at the movie theater, and I was filling him in what we were going to, on next week's stuff and whatnot, he's like, oh, yeah, I can't do next week. And I was like, that's fine, Dennis. I don't care. So there you go. Thought you said cocaine. No. And when I do that, it's just B12 powder, guys. That's all it is. A little bump of B12. Let's bring on our guest for today. Hello, Geoff.
Hey, Andy. How are you? Good to be here.
Good seeing you.
I don't know. Dennis's shoes are a little big for me to fill. Try to fill.
Actually, they're not. He might be a tall fellow, but he has an inseam as short as Peter Dinklage's, and his shoes are smaller than mine. So
really, wow.
Mm-hmm.
I thought so, but okay.
Yeah, he's a dainty little man from the waist down. So
he had me fooled.
I know. From here up, you're like, wow, that guy's huge. And then you see him standing there and you're like, he is tall. But if his legs were in proportion to his upper body, he'd probably be 7 feet tall.
He's
They're
like
just not.
One of those Chuck Jones characters, like the opera singer in the Warner Brothers cartoon with tiny legs.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, the funny thing is, what you can't see when when he is here and we're backed up some because we're sitting behind this portable table I have, we're both sitting on just, the standard office type chairs.
Yeah.
And it's so distracting because you guys can't see it. But if I look down, I can see his little legs dangling off the edge of the chair kicking. And I'm just like, oh my God, dude, stop it. I have ADD. I don't need to see you. My wife's feet touch the ground, for Christ's sake, when she's sitting in that chair. So, and she's 5'2".
I know,
So,
Dennis isn't here, so we should just spend the time making fun of Dennis.
Well, I did talk to him earlier, and I said, just to let you know, if at about 3:15 or so your back starts to hurt, you'll know why.
Exactly.
So,
wow.
I said, you're not going to be there. I have to make fun of you. And he goes, well, you don't have to. And I said, no, I have to.
Oh God, I don't know whether to take offense at his absence. No, it's like,
no, I wouldn't.
Oh, okay.
It's a doctor's appointment thing. So I was like, okay, I guess that qualifies. If he was like, oh, I'm just doing this instead, I'd be like, that doesn't work. But this does. So,
oh well.
And getting into the doctor these days, you take whatever they can give. So if they're like, show up then, you're like, okay.
I suppose
it was a wedding, but I know getting into a doctor's easy, and this couple's probably going to get divorced down the road anyhow. So screw it. I'll go to the doctor appointment. See you at your second wedding.
Yeah, right. Oh man, yeah. But I imagine his cholesterol's he's a vegan, right? So his cholesterol. No, he's not a vegan. Oh wait, who is the vegetarian? No, his daughter is a vegan.
His daughter. Well, no, she started actually eating red meat again.
No,
so she's on the bandwagon too. Yes.
Oh,
he's so proud of her. I was like, that is great to hear. So, there's something else too. She started eating red meat again, and she started doing something else too. So he was like, oh, guess what? Now she's doing blah blah blah, and I was like, what? He's like, yep, it's coming around. I'm like, I love it.
Wasn't he allergic to ducks or something?
Oh, chicken. He can't eat chicken.
So he eats duck eggs, right?
Yeah, he eats duck eggs. Yeah.
How big are duck eggs? Are they
I don't know. I don't think they're that. I honestly don't think they're that much bigger.
Yeah. He buys a
duck compared to a chicken.
Yeah, I would think they're bigger than
chicken. Could almost be smaller.
Well, it could be. You think so?
Physically?
I think that's something that somebody should Google. How big are duck eggs?
Yeah, I'll text Dennis and be like, hey, we were talking about you, like I said we would, and we're just curious. You eat duck eggs. Are they bigger or smaller? And we'll see what he says.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Okay.
You know.
All right. Well,
I don't
it'll be
know.
good to know that. It'll be one of those things to, write down for future reference.
That's right. But let's talk about your campaign for a
Oh,
little bit. Then we'll dive into Gil Kane talk.
oh, there it is.
So yep, there it is. I will. Oh wait, did I share sound? I'm trying to, because StreamYard can make it a lot easier. You know what? I'm going to reshare it because I don't know if I shared sound and I want to play the trailer. So let me.
Yeah, please do that.
You got to click a specific thing and
Yeah.
pain in the butt. So okay, now I know I did. So we'll play the trailer, then we'll talk about it. Talk Gil Kane, talk about the campaign, and so on and so forth.
Hi, this is Geoff Grogan, creator of Captain Daiquiri Jones #2, Jetpacks, Rockets, and Ray Guns, now at Kickstarter. Daiquiri Jones is a mature, retro sci-fi adventure satire in a big, full-color tabloid newspaper. And in this issue, she and her team, the Space Rockettes, who really do dance with the stars, race to stop the evil cheeseburger in his quest for galactic conquest. If you're a fan of 1950s drive-in sci-fi movies and beautiful space heroines, visit the Kickstarter at daiquirijones.com. That's daiquirijones.com.
There you go. What did you use to do the animation of those legs in? Now I'm curious.
I think I animated them in Procreate, and I just did it old.
Oh, okay.
All you have to do is multiple layers in Procreate, and then you bring it into After Effects as a composition, and then you can spread it all out, all those layers out as individual frames. So it's really simple. I haven't started.
Wait, I thought Procreate, because a buddy of mine does, like, now that I think of it, does full animation stuff in Procreate. He doesn't go into After Effects or anything. So you couldn't just do that, or?
Sure, you could. You could.
Oh, okay.
I think he's probably using Procreate Dreams, which is the new app, and I haven't bought it yet. But I definitely want to do that because you can I guess you can do everything plus audio. I don't know, but I haven't bought it yet, so I don't really know. But what I've been doing is just using the old app, and just like I said, drawing in layers, moving it into After Effects, and then spreading it out. And
well, I'm assuming you just did the one figure, and then once she was done, you just copied her, right? Because they're all the same, aren't they? Oh, they're all different.
They vary a little bit, yeah.
Really?
Every time I have this thing, Andy, where I sit down and I go, okay, I could draw just one figure and then just repeat it over and over again, or like a douchebag, or I could draw the whole thing like a real artist would, and
so you drew all those figures and then
animated them, and then but when I try to stretch it out and make a longer chorus line, I'll repeat that group of 12 or whatever it is, then I'll cheat a little bit.
So how many different, just for that single kick on one of the figures, how many in-betweens of the leg did you have to draw?
Not a lot. It wasn't a lot.
Is it so fast?
Yeah, it's pretty simple animation. It's not very fluid. So, it's real old school, bad TV animation. So, I think maybe I did maybe 5 in-betweens, maybe 6.
I mean, that's still pretty good. Did you ever see, and by the way, Alejandro, who's a colorist, good colorist, I thought he was right. You can actually do it all in Procreate. So you might want to experiment or go to YouTube and just check before you buy something.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure you can do all the animation just in Procreate.
Yeah, I think actually now that it's mentioned,
no audio.
Yeah, there's no audio. But you can time it out. That's right. I never do that. I guess I never do it because I just figure I'm just going to time it out in After Effects there.
Right.
So I've never played with it like that. But yeah, that's right. You can do it, and I do recall that. I think I've played with it a little bit, but I'm comfortable in After Effects, so I'll just take it over there and play with it.
Yeah, no. Hey, well, that's what it comes down to. Like my daughter uses After Effects for her school assignments because she's taking digital cinematography at Full Sail, and I have After Effects. I've never used it, and so to backtrack, before After Effects, I got a program called Camtasia, which was really affordable video editing, And for what I was doing, and I've had it for years, it was all I needed. Now you can do a lot more in After Effects, but I'm just so used to using Camtasia that until I get to a point where it's like, oh, I want to do this, but I can't, I'll just stick with Camtasia, even though I have After Effects on this computer.
Sure. Well, you know, a lot of people are talking about, you know, because Adobe, you know, is expensive and the license is expensive. And if you're going to get, you know, I haven't, because I'm lucky, I've got After Effects through my job. So at this point, I don't have to pay for it. But when I retire, I'm going to have to pay for it. And the license is expensive. And especially if you're going to buy the whole package, it's expensive. A lot of people also, you know, there's all this shit about AI now and how Adobe is like, you know, I'm not sure exactly what they're doing with it, but a lot of people are saying that they're going to jump ship from all Adobe.
So supposedly, now I don't save anything to the cloud in Adobe. So when I save stuff in Photoshop, it always comes up and says computer or cloud. And I always do my computer. So if you're not doing it to the cloud, then they can't get it. But supposedly, if you save it to the cloud, their new terms of agreement say if they want to use it, they could. That's a very bare bones breakdown of it. But that's what I was told. There is another, damn it, now I'm trying to remember the name of it. Hopefully it'll come to me during the show. But there's another program out there that has their version of Photoshop, their version of Illustrator, and their version of InDesign. And it's like $170 outright. You're done one time, and they were selling it for half that.
Yes, I saw that on Facebook, and I'd heard about it. You know, and they had a 6-month trial. Like you can do a trial for like 6 months. And I'm trying to remember the name of the company now. It sucks.
It begins with the A.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, it's Affinity Designer. There you go, Alejandro. Thank you. Affinity Designer. Yeah. And a buddy I know is messing around with, because he does. I mean, he does everything, but he letters a lot of comics for other people. And he's usually does Illustrator, but after all this, he's been practicing in their Illustrator type program, and he says it's not that different or anything. And I've looked at screenshots of like their Photoshop type, and I mean, they're really, you know, they have to change some stuff, of course, but overall, if you just look at it, you'd be like, oh yeah, that looks like Photoshop. So I haven't tried it yet. I do pay the monthly thing for the Creative Suite. But I tell you what, I use my teacher ID. And for the whole Creative Suite with my teacher ID, I think it's like $25 a month.
Oh man, that's great.
And you have a teacher's ID, don't you?
Yeah, I like I said, right now I get my license through work. I don't have to apply for it. I don't have to fill out any forms or anything. It's just there. But when I retire, I'm sure.
So right before you retire, get it. Because once you get it, they don't check back to go, hey, show us your ID.
Yeah, and I was thinking too. You know, I am thinking of doing. It's possible I may continue to teach a class or two as an adjunct. You know, as a lecturer.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
So if I do that, I'll still have it. So who knows? Anyway, that's a couple of years in the future.
Sure. Well, tell us a little bit about this new Daiquiri Jones and the format and everything, because I know it's different. As the picture shows.
Let's see. Where's the? Okay, so the first issue was a Golden Age size book because it's kind of a faux Golden Age comic. And
wait, hold on. Hold it back up. Oh yeah.
So it's like a faux, you know, 50s kind of thing. Sci-fi thing, and it's fun. It's like it's a mock retro take on that kind of comic book, sci-fi adventure thing, with an all-female cast, right? All the heroes are female, and it's topical, but it's also got a sense of humor. about it.
Sure.
Because it is kind of a satire parody. So the second issue, though, I was like, you know what? I had just done this thing on newsprint in a tabloid newspaper format, and I had a lot of fun with it. It was a real big challenge to do a comic that sort of told a story, but one single page at a time, one single full page, like Sunday comic at a time. And it turned out real well. The printer was great. It was affordable, and the color was great. And I had such a good time with it. I thought, that would be great for the second issue of Daiquiri Jones, to do that as a 12 by 15 tabloid newspaper, like it was an old Sunday comic. So that's what I did. It's like a 20-page comic on 12 by 15 newsprint. And
now, is this 12 by 15 opened up? Like this is showing it open. So
right.
Is that then 24 by 15? Right?
Yeah, that's 24 by 15. Yep, just like a tabloid newspaper, just about the size of it. And the color, I was so surprised at how good the color turned out on the last one that I thought, that's going to be really cool for this too. If it hadn't turned out so well, I don't think I would have done it. But anyway, it was exciting to try to do something different. And I'm going to be at Cartoon Crossroads Columbus in Ohio in the fall, which I thought this would be kind of a neat thing to have on the table. A little bit different from some of the fare that'll be around. So sure. I thought that would be kind of cool. So it tells the story, it's a real silly story, but it's about this guy called the Cheeseburger, who is a deposed ruler who wants to take over the universe. And there he is, right there. He's not a nice guy. You can see he likes to chop off heads and kick dogs. And
sure.
Right, and he's got a crew of zombies. And the zombies go out and search for this thing called the special sauce, because the special sauce will make him invincible if he gets a hold of the special. And you can tell why he needs the special sauce. He's a a cheeseburger with half a bun.
Sure.
So he needs that special sauce. So anyway, and the ultimate thing is that she's got to stop him before he gets the special sauce. Because he'll rule the universe otherwise. So anyway, that's the story.
Oh, that's cool.
But each page is kind of different from the last page, and each one has got a different kind of layout. I try to make each page a unique event, if you will, so that when you have this thing, you could almost tear out any page and put it up on the wall as like a poster.
Oh, cool.
So the page I'm working on right now is like a reworking of a Godzilla movie poster, and it's really cool. Exciting to try to tell the story in a different way each page. So
now,
anyway,
is this going to be stapled or no? Because it's not. That's what I thought. Yeah. So when you get it back from the printer, do you have the fun task of having to fold everything?
No.
Actually, here's the question: are they going to put it all collated so you don't have to go through every single sheet? So you'll get it all collated.
Yep.
Will it be folded, just not stapled when you get it back?
Yeah, nice. Actually, I should have brought in an example of the other thing, but that I just did. But it comes just like a newspaper, and it's folded and it's flat. It's shipped flat, so there's no fold in it. And what I'm going to be doing, because I reached the first stretch goal, I'm going to be sending it off in 12 by 18 envelopes. With a backing board or something to keep it flat, so that when people get it, it's not folded up. And if we get farther along in the next 12 hours or so, there'll be a poster and a pin-up, and the poster might be 11 by 17, and that would also be mailed flat, so it wouldn't be folded. So it'd be kind of nice. And
that's really nice.
This is you're looking at right now one of the, if we get to $2,000, it's an 11 by 14 pinup, and that's like my wife's idea. She was like, Daiquiri Jones seems like such a hard ass, she's always beating up on people. Why don't you show the softer side of her? And so I sat down to do. And the other thing is, her hair is always covered up by this skull cap. So, I sat down and played around with an old Gil Elvgren pinup as an idea. I have this book of Gil Elvgren stuff. You know who he is, right? Great pinup artist.
Yeah, I have a big book of just pinup artists, so he's in there.
Oh yeah.
I think the only book I have by a famous pinup artist that's all just him is George Petty.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
His book.
Uh-huh. I'm a big fan of Elfgren's stuff because his there not only are, does he deal with humorous situations and the girls are all beautiful and whatnot.
Sure.
But his painting is really, really beautiful, and he really has this nice handling of color, light, and fabric. He paints beautiful, like chiffons and all these kinds of things, the dresses the girls wear and stuff. It's all beautiful stuff. I mean, in that sense, he repeats his premises a lot, but you could, in those days, you're trying to turn stuff out, to make a living, and so he may redo the same setup over and over again once in a while.
Sure.
But
what did he work in mostly, medium wise?
Oil. Yeah.
It was okay. I want to say, did he ever do watercolor? I might be thinking of somebody else because I know one, like in that big famous artist pinup book I have. There's so many different people, and I remember one of them was using watercolor, and I just look at it and I'm just like, that is just gorgeous.
Yeah.
How are you doing that in watercolor?
Oh man. Yeah. It's true. Well, I think he might have worked once in a while in gouache, but which is a water-based.
Oh yeah.
But it's watercolor is translucent, and gouache is opaque. So and it dries very quickly. So, but I think he preferred to work in oil, and because of the ability to play around with it over a couple of days. But he painted fast. Sure. Like all those guys did. They all had to paint really quickly.
Oh yeah.
Some of those, you go back to some of those great illustrators who were working on pulp magazine covers. They painted those things like in a night.
Oh yeah.
So this is the story of the cheeseburger here, on this page. He's giving his background, is the story of how he grew up and stuff like that. And this was a lot of fun to do this page, because the idea was, initially it started off as just a traditional set of, almost like a grid of panels. But I was really bored with that. I was like, this is like the dullest approach to telling this story. So I decided to turn all of the little, vignettes of these people talking, his mother and all these other people talking, into turn them into little planets, in this little universe. Okay. Play around with that, and so it was a lot of fun to do, and it was a lot of fun to color as well. So,
and you're drawing all this digital too, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. Wow. Yeah, I've been working digitally for about 7 years.
Yeah. Just on your iPad, right?
Just on the iPad. Yeah, it's an iPad Pro, and it's a lot of fun to do, to work that way. I like it because I can revise endlessly.
Oh yeah.
And I always start off really, really loose. My pages are really loose to start with, and I like that because I work gesturally, and I always found it. I like working in those mediums that allow you to work really loosely to begin with, and I tighten up as I go along. So,
do you have? I don't have one for my iPad because I don't draw on it enough to warrant getting it. But a buddy of mine does a lot of his stuff on his iPad, and he bought like this portable like holder that once you put the iPad in it, it's it's like 18 inches across, maybe even 2 feet by like 18 high. So your arm's not going off the edge of the small iPad. It's more like resting like on a regular desk.
Yeah,
no. Sit it on your lap, or you can sit it on your lap, but I also think it has legs to it if you want to put it on a table.
Cool. Yeah. No, I don't have anything like that. I'm just like, here's my iPad right here.
Just what size is that iPad? That's a 12.9, right?
Yeah, 12.9.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I've just got the the little holder here. I could put the pen on, but I don't have anything like that. I've gotten used to working this way. I used to, when we lived in Brooklyn, before I had a big studio where I could get my drawing table out and all that kind of stuff. We were in a 1-bedroom apartment for a long time. And the drawing board I used, and I was working, 11 by 17 on a lot of stuff. The drawing board I used was a piece of plywood I found in the street, which I still have. And it was only, like 12 by 18. And I don't know, somebody had, cutting up plywood for some reason. And there it was. And I was like, holy shit, it was a good 1/4 inch thick piece of plywood.
Yeah.
And so I used that as a drawing board for like 10 years, man. That was
I still have my drawing board that I had when I was a kid, which is, it's a real drawing board that, you went and bought, but we're talking in the 80s. So it's just, it's probably a 1/2 inch thick, and it's a light piece of wood, obviously nothing too heavy. It's probably, I don't know, it's probably 2 feet by, I'm looking at my Cintiq. It's probably 2 feet by 18 inches. And it just has, just so it's not a piece of wood. So when you go into the art store, it's like, I'm buying a piece of wood for this. It just has like a little metal strip on either side of it for some reason. Yeah. But I still have it, and it's drawn on because I would draw on it with markers and crap. But yeah, I still have it. It's back in the closet. But
I have all kinds of, I have the drawing board. My folks got me a drawing table, an artist table back, drafting table. For Christmas, back when I was like, I don't know, in my first couple of years of art school. And so they got that for Christmas for me one year. And I still have it,
Oh, cool.
And that's like 45, 50 years old now.
God, I wish I still had mine from when because my parents did the same thing. They bought me one, and then, I took it up with me to the Kubert school, and then, brought it back.
Sure.
And, eventually I upgraded. I got rid of it, but I wish I would have kept it. It was wood.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, it was wood. It was like Jack Kirby's.
Right. And mine's got, paint stains and ink stains and all kinds of shit all over it, Yeah, and X-Acto blade cuts, from.
Oh yeah.
I love the fact that when you're an artist for a long time, you carry these tools with you, and every time you pick up one of those tools, it brings back a memory.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, all right, so we've got another page here.
Yep,
and we're just looking through some pages of it. That's a nice one.
Yeah, and these 2 pages are like both where Cheeseburger is telling his background, and here she's kind of talking about like, why the hell why is it up to me to save the universe, and so she's going through that kind of thing. She's reflecting on, oh Christ, now I've got to go out and save the universe again. Why does it always come down to me to do this, and so she's thinking through it a little bit. And of course, she's resolved to doing that. There's no question.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, this was a nice page to do too. To give that kind of sunburst feeling at the bottom, and then coloring it was a lot of fun. I'm using, again, Procreate, but also using Retro Supply. Put into that so I can bring in some Ben-Day dot stuff. Although I don't do a lot of that, because the printer does such a nice job with traditional flat color that it's nice not to overburden the page, with too much stuff.
And then with add-ons, you got coasters, pens. You got a little ray gun water pistol.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It's a lot of fun. That was great, man. I've got like a bunch of these water pistols.
That's great.
If you're into it, you can get.
What is it, like this big? It's one of those ones that's like that big?
Yeah, it's like, I've got one. If I go searching for it here, let me see. It's like 5 inches or so.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Let me see here. Oh, it's back here.
I thought it was one of those like real small ones. Oh shit, that is a good size. Holy crap.
So there you go, man.
That was a good chunk of water in there.
Yeah, you can
run out.
You can definitely do some damage with that. So,
Nice.
Yeah, it's a fun
poker cards, t-shirt, 8x10 print. Nice.
Yep. You can get all kinds of stuff, man. I tried to do some different things this time for the rewards, but the major reward is the comic. That's the thing I'm putting most of my effort into, and it's like more than halfway done. It's going to be done by the end of August, and it's coming along really well. Like I said, I'm having a lot of freaking fun, with it. Whether and it comes down to it's about covering your costs for me, because we've talked about this before. You're in a different situation than I am, in the sense that you've got to make more money because you got a team and you've got more fans to go with anyway. But for me, it's not so. I need to cover my costs, obviously, but the big thing for me is just trying to get the book into as many hands as possible. And
Sure.
The PDFs are there, and people can buy the PDF, and that's great because for me that's great, because I'm not spending any money on it. But the reality is, I want people to have the printed thing.
Oh yeah.
I want them to have the object, because that's what it's all about for me, is getting it to as many people, as I can. And
and it's so, let's go through it. So $8 PDF for people that like digital, save on shipping.
Mm-hmm.
But then, $16 for the size this thing is, 12 by 15, 20 pages, full color.
Yeah.
That's a good deal.
Yeah, I think it is. On Kickstarter, most of the comics are running, $15, $16. And I think that's what I charged for the first issue of the Captain. And this time around, I tried to make sure that I covered my costs and that it was a package that's going to be worth your money. And that's what it's all about, because this is, people are spending their hard-earned money, and I appreciate that, And so I try to give them something really nice for their $16.
Cool. And then 16, you can get the PDF of one and the Sunday number one and the Sunday Adventure.
Yep.
$26 gets you the Space Swag, the print edition, plus let's see, where am I? 26 right here.
Yep.
Sunday Adventures. Yeah, print PDF, official Daiquiri Jones pen, coaster, and magnets. So there you go. Get some swag.
Yep, absolutely.
32 is the Sunday Adventures, Captain Daiquiri Jones, number one, print editions, plus PDF.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yeah. So you get two comics for that, both first.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, that's cool. All the Captain's log. Oh, Dennis would love hearing that because he's such a Star Trek fan.
Me too. Well, yeah, me too. The original series is
oh yeah, well that's what I'm talking. I mean, he likes All Star. Well, I shouldn't say that. He doesn't like all Star Trek, but his favorite is the original series. So.
Yeah, me too. It's definitely.
Cool. And then 44 is the print edition, plus the magnet, the ballpoint pen, 80-page spiral notebook. Choose your color, red or blue. PDF. Nice.
Yes.
The recreation deck is pretty much, I believe, everything. The playing cards, the water gun, pistol, water. Oh, I already said gun, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's actually in
water shooter. There you go.
Whatever you call it. Yes. Yeah. She
So
calls it.
cool.
By the way, just to let you know a little bit about the story. Daiquiri Jones carries this ray gun, and it's not just any ray gun. It's a ray gun called the Castrato ray. And so, he runs into a bad guy, and we're talking seriously bad guys.
Oh yeah.
She's got the Castrato ray to do some damage there. So that's what that is. In the first issue, as a matter of fact, there is an ad in here. Where the hell is it now? Here it is. Okay. Here it is in the first issue.
Oh,
see that?
Yeah, you did a retro ad.
Oh, I've done a bunch of them in this issue. There it is. The Castrato ray for $2.95. And so as you can
$2.98.
Oh, $2.98.
$2.98.
It's gone up. Are you being harassed, intimidated, or aggressors trying to invade and control your sovereign territory? Well, don't let them. Before the bullies can whip it out, zap them with the official Captain Daiquiri Jones Castrato ray. There it is.
Now here's the question. Is that an ad to where somebody could actually get it? Or
No.
it's literally just a fake ad?
It's a fake ad.
Well, I didn't know if you were doing an ad for like the little water gun.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. No. It's just
okay.
That's just a goof. Yeah, there are other
No,
ads.
that's cool.
But anyway, by the way, not only is the captain in this first issue, but Vicky Venus is too. It's Teenage Alien. So I did a little.
Oh, nice.
This is a lot of fun too because it's like a take on Archie.
Yeah.
But it adds to the. I had a lot of fun with that. One of these days, I'll return to Vicky Venus too. She was fun to do.
Cool.
Yeah. So anyway.
All right, couple more tiers. $100 is the transporter. It's the Sunday Adventures print and PDF, the Daiquiri Jones pen, coaster, magnet, poker deck, official. What's that say? Does that say Dad? Castrato ray gun. Yep. Daiquiri Castrato ray gun.
Yep.
Water pistol, spiral notebook, and T-shirt.
Yes. Yeah.
And then the bridge, which I can't even read that. That's just too small. I'll have to go over here.
Oh yeah. I can't read it either. What the hell is it?
Yeah, the bridge is Sunday Adventures print PDF, Daiquiri Jones coaster, magnet, DJ ballpoint pen, one official Daiquiri Jones poker deck.
Yep.
Choose red or blue. One official Daiquiri Jones Castrato ray gun water pistol, and one of 3 colors. Oh, depending on availability.
Right.
Spiral notebook, T-shirt, and 8x10 archival fine art. Is it Geesley or Geesley? I can never remember.
G-Clay.
That's it.
G-Clay. Yeah. G-Clay print.
It's a G-Clay print. The fine art G-Clay print.
Yeah, I have
a
great printer for those, and they're really nice. I have to say, they print on this beautiful paper, and it's this beautiful printmaking paper, and they turn out so nice. The color is rich and saturated, and I really love their work. So it's a nice, that little print there is a nice object.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, guys, go check that out. The link is in the description below. If any of my mods are out there and want to post it, that'd be great. We're going to talk a little Gil Kane.
Awesome.
First, I want to show. So I own 2 Gil Kane originals.
Oh man.
I'll start with this one, which he inked himself.
Awesome.
Now, this is from a book he did called The Edge. Did you ever hear that?
It's one of the later things he did, right?
Yeah.
I've heard of it, but I've never seen it actually.
Oh, it's great. It was a 4-issue miniseries, and then it was a hardcover. So I actually ditched my single issues and got the hardcover.
Oh, cool.
I think this might be printed in the back of the hardcover. I haven't looked at it in a while, but I got it off of eBay cheap.
Cool.
So
what's the premise?
Edge? That's a really good question because I haven't read it in so long. I mean, it's a superhero thing.
Yeah.
I honestly just don't remember. It's been so long since I read it.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Stephen Grant wrote it.
Oh, okay.
But it's pure Gil. It's this style, obviously.
It's great.
His big figures all throughout, good
Mm-hmm.
layouts. It's great. And then the other one I own is this one, inked by Kevin Nolan. So,
check it out.
Which was from Distant Fires.
And
yeah, I mean, Kevin, obviously, it's, you can see Gil from the layouts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You can still see him in that last Shazam figure.
Yeah.
But, so.
Nice. Yeah, there's some inkers on Gil who are, there's a lot of leeway in there, I think. And there's some inkers who are really heavy on him and some who are really light. But, it's interesting. Neil Adams had a quote about Gil Kane's inking, his own inking. And he said, it's like Gil doesn't ink. He just, goes over the lines. And and it's really true. I've never really liked his own inking on his stuff. For me, it's just too. Adams called it a dead line, and he said,
great. He used a marker.
Yeah, he used. Didn't know that.
You didn't know he used a marker?
No, I did not.
Oh, yeah, if you look at some of Gil Kane's originals that people left out, where the sun could get them or whatever, they're fading because it's. I mean, think about it. This is in the 80s when he was using like a felt tip marker. And those things fade over time. And so some of his originals are like brown, where they were beautiful black when he originally did it, but over time, they just faded and stuff.
Oh man, I did not know that. Wow.
Oh
so
yeah.
He's using a fine line marker and getting that kind of that line.
Yeah, he was using it. That piece I showed was a fine line marker. Yeah.
Wow. So have you got that hidden somewhere out of the light? So that,
yeah, I mean, most of my original art's in a portfolio in the closet, zipped up, so there's no light getting to it at all. And it's not even because of that for him. I mean, I know that because of his stuff, but that's just where I keep it. I mean, the Shazam page I actually have framed hanging on my wall, but Kevin uses real ink and everything, so
sure. Yeah.
Not worried about that one.
No.
But
it's interesting though to think about the inkers on Kane's work. But one of the things that like you've been posting Gil Kane art, and that's how for a long time now, and
since January 1st, and come December 31st, I will be able to say that was fun. Not doing that again, because literally when I'm on vacation, I'm like, oh crap, I got to post my Gil Kane. Now I got into this thing where I literally started with Green Lantern #1. And he pretty much did every cover up until 76 when Neil started. There's only a few in there he didn't.
Okay.
So I'm just going in order. And once I get to 75, I'll have to find other stuff. But I was like, you know what? I love Green Lantern. I've got the reprints of every issue that he did. Yeah. So I'll just start doing Gil's covers.
Sure. Okay. Hey, why not? It's great stuff.
Yeah.
What is it about Kane that, his work that you like? I mean, there's so many things you point out in those posts, but what is it about Kane specifically that draws you to his work?
Oh, I can show you. Well, and I'll still bring it up to show, but it wasn't, I didn't see this when I was growing up. So to answer the question, I first saw his stuff in the 80s. I want to say one of the first things, it was either a couple of the Superman specials that he did, that he inked himself, or it was the Green Lantern annual that he did, that he also inked himself. And I liked his line work. I didn't know anything, obviously, as a kid about inking techniques and stuff. So it didn't bother me, but I liked his rendering. It was obviously real linear and stuff. But I just loved his anatomy.
Yeah.
It was just the way he constructed a figure.
Oh, yeah.
And which leads me to this I'll share. We can go through. So I've got a whole issue of his layouts an issue of Green Lantern.
Oh, my God. That's incredible.
I got these like 20 years ago, and they're just photocopies. Obviously, I scanned them, but I've got the photocopies stapled together. And this is what I love seeing, because you can see his figure construction.
Yes. Yes.
And, this is the part I'm trying to see. Okay, it's not going to. Oh, it's a PDF. That's why I was trying to click it to get it go a little bigger. But this is the whole issue.
Oh, man. Look at all that shortening. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and definitely when we're done, remind me. I'll send this to you.
Oh, I'd love to see this. This is great.
And you can print it out. And that's the thing. Like, so I love Neil Adams. I love Neil's issues of Green Lantern. And the funny thing is, I always thought, because I looked at those issues of Green Lantern that Neil did before these issues that Gil did. So I was like, wow, I could definitely see what Neil was doing, all this forced perspective. Dude, you go back and look at this Gil Kane stuff. Neil was just basically looking at what came before and going, oh, okay, I got to really do some deep perspective on the figures and stuff when he's in space, flying and whatnot, because that's what Gil was doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just like I said, seeing this, and then, before I saw this, obviously one of the first art books I got from my local library was George Bridgman. And then once I saw this stuff, and even seeing Gil stuff in printed comics, you could look at it and go, oh yeah, this guy's a George Bridgman fan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the way he constructed the figure, and
Yeah.
you can see his thought process in it, but definitely there's a quote. There's a quote in this little sucker here, right? Comic book
Oh,
creator
which one?
Gil Kane.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great issue. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great issue, and John Cook did a wonderful job on covering his career. But there's a quote in there, I think, about how Kane said that he was always primarily interested in grace, beauty, and action, and you can see that in his figures. You see that it's like almost. I think one of the things that I read too was that somewhere along the line that he was also like interested in dance, and he would look at dancers, to photographs of dancers and whatnot, as a kind of inspiration too, which also would, when I was younger, that pointed me towards, I looked up some books on dance. I got a couple of books when I was a kid, beginning art school on dance, to look at the figures, to see how they moved in space and stuff. And
sure,
particularly if you're drawing superheroes, male superheroes, male dancers.
Oh yeah.
And you could see, wow, Kane is really looking at these guys. There's a lot of that in what he does too. Just this idea about how dance, particularly ballet, is all about rhythm and beauty and grace and all those kinds of things. And it's his work is filled with that stuff. Just filled.
Oh yeah. I mean, look at her.
Look at that.
And just the nice twist he has to the figure. She's not
stiff.
Her head is doing something different. I mean, it's straight out of like obviously Bridgman, but it's also like out of Loomis, where it's like, if the hips are doing this, the upper body should be doing something counter to the hips, and then the head should be doing something counter to the upper body, so it has a nice rhythm and flow throughout the figure.
And that's man, that is like, wow, I want to just try to do that. It's fantastic that I love the way the weight is distributed on that figure.
Yeah.
That one leg coming forward and the one leg falling back, and the twist in the torso is just really, it's so beautiful. And then to top it off, of course, the twist in the neck. That's cool. That's good. And that's on the same page with that beautiful, acrobatic figure just above, right?
Let me
the one that's right in the corner there of that panel. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
Foreshortened figure, right? That's like a masterpiece. It's beautiful. It really is beautiful. Fantastic.
But so I tell young artists and stuff, if you can look at Gil Kane's layouts, do it, because the most important part is the construction. You've got to get the construction down, just like building a house. I say, look, you can't build a house without the wood structure underneath. And this is the main thing, because if you can get the basic shapes and the foundation down like this, you could really not know anything about anatomy and finish this off, and it would be fine.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like we were talking about this before on another stream, Jack Kirby. When Jack got really stylized, because when Jack started, he could draw anatomy.
Oh, sure.
But in the 70s, when he came back, or was in the 60s when he was doing Fantastic Four, as he was progressing, his stuff got stylized to the big chunky stuff, which was just basic shapes.
Yeah.
But if you get the basic shapes down, and it's not just basic shapes, like, we all know, for instance, an arm is a cylinder, and so's a leg. But then, like, if you look at, it's obviously more than that, because if you look at the one leg going back on Green Lantern's flying figure that's by the woman's head, obviously that lower leg has a nice curve to it. So you have to get the aspect of the form down as well. But if you combine that with knowing the three-dimensional form of spheres, cylinders, and stuff, you don't have to go that much further with anatomy.
Right. No, as a matter of fact, I think overdoing it with anatomy sometimes, takes away from from the nature of this as a cartoon. It's
Right.
it's interesting. There's a tendency, right. We've always thought there are the illustrators and there are the cartoonists, and the cartoonists always lean towards cartoony stuff and blah, blah, blah. Well, I think you've got to, in superhero comics, for me, the stuff that's always the most exciting is the stuff that finds a middle path, that still has that flexibility that cartooning has in it, the ability of a line to be inventive and do a variety of things. And yet it also has, in really the stuff that I really like, it's also got, a knowledge of anatomy, but doesn't get overburdened by it, that there, so that I'm not sitting there examining every pectoral muscle, and not overwhelmed by it. So, and Kane is, I think, a great example of that,
Yeah. I mean, look at this. This is just, once again, great twist in the figure. His head's doing something different from the torso. The torso's different from the hips. Yep. It's got a nice flow to it,
Beautiful.
It is. It's very, it just flows. It's not, it's not stiff drawing.
No, not at all. I mean, and he, he starts off kind of loosely and then he builds up on top, and you can see him thinking, right? He's working in perspective. He's thinking about the forms and the shapes, but he's also like, he's got a basic understanding of this stuff right from the beginning, built into the drawing. His perspective is wonderful. This is something that Kirby never, particularly late Kirby, doesn't do. And I think this is what's wonderful about identifying different artists and different styles, the different approaches and how each brings something unique and powerful, right, to the page. In Kane, it's always about this kind of rhythmic ballet-like movement, not only in the figures themselves, but also in the way the page is designed. Kirby is so much more about graphic, power in a way that each page is still like, you can look at Kirby and the power of those pages really hits you in the face. He's not so interested in the kind of ballet-like rhythm that exists in Kane's work, which is what makes them very different from one another.
Yeah. But at the same time, they were both just so great at composing their panels to lead the eye around the page.
Yeah, absolutely.
So effortlessly looking.
It's beautiful. Yes. Really, and
and
looking
that
at
top
these is
panel.
such a joy. It's such a joy to see him working out, in these layouts, working out the composition, working out the structure of the figure. Really it's thrilling, really. This is what I love about Kane's stuff.
And this is like 1960, because I'm trying to remember what issue number this is. This is around 67, 68.
This is a Green Lantern?
Yeah, this is from around 1967, 1968.
Oh, amazing.
Let me see something here. I thought I still had the folder pulled up. Let me let's see. I can tell you what issue it is. Let's see. Because I have a couple copies of the issue. It's issue 68.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
I've
always looked to the 70s Gil Kane at Marvel. It's always been like my favorite stuff. But this is amazing. This really is amazing.
So let me do this.
Better. Oh yeah, look at that. This is better than, it's cooler to look at the layout page than the original page almost.
I know. All right, hold on here. I'm trying to. There we go.
Oh, awesome. What a great page. But with all the text and everything in there, it's funny. It's like, I'd rather look at, just for enjoying Kane's artwork, I'd rather look at the layout page. It's interesting.
Oh yeah, and I'm guessing he was working full script, because look, he laid in the word balloons perfectly, and they stuck to it.
Yeah. Yeah, they do, don't they? Who's writing these? Gardner Fox?
I'd have to go back to the first page of the issue to see.
But it's somebody who's working with a lot of text.
It's probably Gardner Fox.
Gardner Fox.
I'll look back when we get to it.
Yeah.
But see, now this isn't inked by Gil. This is, I think,
Sid Green.
I think it's Joe Giella. But
Joe Giella.
I'll have to go back.
Yep.
But I love this too. I love these inks over Gil.
Yeah, they're nice. They're really nice. Yeah.
But I'm with you. I could look at these layouts, and don't get me wrong, I think the issue's fantastic, but I could look at these layouts all day.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too.
And just pick them apart.
It's so exciting to see them. They're just incredible. This is such an inspiration. Oh, look at that.
I love it. Just a 2-page or a half page. So, you just a half page.
What if you got paid a full page for that?
I doubt it.
Yeah, probably not in those days.
Yeah,
Gil, you're only doing half a page here, so we're going to give you half.
Exactly. But I think there's a couple half pagers in this book, so it probably worked out to where it's like, okay, if it's a 22-page story, you're getting paid for 21. I don't know.
Now, this is one of the things I love about Kane's the way he sets up a panel, like this idea of being below the actors. We're a lot of times in Kane we are looking up at we're looking up at a character's face or whatever. He does that a lot. Kirby doesn't do that so much. We don't get a shot like in Kirby, but in Kane you've got that he's setting the camera on the ground literally to give us this shot of not only the characters arriving someplace but also the building that's the location that's important here, which is really cool.
What I like to and the thing I like is I like to imagine what was actually written on the page, the writer description. So for instance, in panel 1, it very well could have been, whoever these guys are, we'll just call them thugs. The thugs are walking up to blah, blah, blah's house.
Yeah.
And, most people might think, oh, okay. And they'll do like an above shot looking down. So you see full figures of all these guys or whatever. And Gil's like, no way, low camera angle, feet in the foreground, push that depth,
Yep. Yep. And you think about how to do that and how to manage the scale of all those figures, as they're moving in perspective towards the building. That's tricky stuff, That's tricky stuff.
And then I just noticed this because I really haven't done a side-by-side in a while. If you look at 1, 2, 3, the fourth panel where the girl's hunched over, he changed the angle of her head from the rough to the final.
Oh, yeah. I think I like the rough.
She's really looking down on that rough. And then the final, her head's almost, 3/4 straight,
look at that figure. The figure in the layout almost looks like an Egon Schiele, Sheila's work at all. It almost has that kind of distortion that, and the quality of the line quality in his layouts is beautiful. Are these in pencil? These are pencils?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are, and I think they're just 8.5 by 11. I don't think they were bigger.
Nice, man.
But don't quote me on that. They could, for all I know, they could have been 11 by 17, but the copies I got were 8.5 by 11.
Well, they seem to translate in terms of proportionality pretty darn well. But anyway, the line quality, the pencil quality is really nice. It's so cool.
But the other thing I dig too is I just love seeing the construction. Once again, it's figure construction, even on the non-heroic guys, like that dude in the second panel wearing the red long johns.
Yeah.
He's got the center line going on. He's got good figure construction.
Yeah.
Once again, and then over top, the guy's just wearing something. So you throw some wrinkles on it and stuff. Bing, bang, boom. There it is. Even the rocks, like the boulders in that first panel, he has the planes delineated and stuff.
Yes. Oh, yeah, definitely. He's like not just laying in, some kind of element just to
weird
take
shape.
Yeah, he's figuring it out. Yeah. It's nice. It's really beautiful. I mean, he's trying to give a sense of the location, and the verisimilitude, of that, so you feel it. This is great too. I can't believe his layouts are this tight. And then he's going to transfer. I wonder if he used a light box to scale it up or something.
I'm assuming he light boxed and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, if not, then he had the foresight, if this was original size on board, to copy it before he finished it, but I'm guessing not, because it looks like, because I'm assuming, well, I don't know. I don't know when, this is, like I said, 68. I don't know when, this is a really good trivia question. I honestly don't know when DC and Marvel started sending their pre-printed paper to draw on to the guys.
And it's also,
I know in the 80s they did.
Right. In 68.
In the 70s they did too.
Right. I'm just thinking, in 68, are they still working? Was it
Twice Up?
Twice Up?
I don't think so.
No. I wonder
when.
Yeah,
I think that went out in the mid 60s, but I'm not sure.
Wow. It's an interesting thought, whether these were done with the idea that they're going to be twice up or 1.5 up. Are they going to be moving to 11 by 17? I used to know when that change happened, and I don't remember now. It's late 60s or early 70s, and I think it's late 60s now that I think about it, because it's around the time Fantastic Four is like in the 80 number, 80s, 81, 82, 83, somewhere around there. You can see Jack's work change. He starts doing a lot of full pages, and I think it's somewhere around the 80s or the 90s that he's shifting over to that 1.5 times.
Oh, okay.
Instead of twice up, because it's a big change in the feeling of the artwork. Twice up was so much better.
Well, I've done that once just for fun. I would never want to, like, if I broke into the industry and that was the size, that's what you go with.
Right, sure.
But 11 by 17, even in the Kubert school, when I was doing assignments, and it was, they all had to be 11 by 17, it was still daunting at first. Now it's not. Now it's like, whatever, just another day at the office. But
right, yeah.
I've seen Twice Up, and I'm like, holy crap.
Well, I love those original, when you go to a con and you see those original pages that are oh my God, they're gorgeous. But and I love that. But I was, I think I used to work really, really big. Some of my collages and some of my drawings were really big, like, and I'm used to being able to move your arm like that, when you're using material and you're up there and you're drawing. I mean, some of the things I did for my Fan Dancer book, I've got them out in the barn, and I found them the other day. They're like, I don't know, 2.5 feet by 4 feet. I don't know, big pages.
Oh, wow.
And what is great when you're first working is that your arm can move, and I love being able to, like, which is one of the reasons I love working on the iPad, because you can scale up, right, when you're working, and you can move your hand freely when you're doing the layouts and stuff. So you can be really loose to start with, which is, I like to work like that. When it's 11 by 17, I always felt, because I'd started working big and gone to 11 by 7, I always felt constrained. Also the verticality of it. It's the emphasis. Twice Up always felt less vertical, and 11 by 17 has got this really vertical tightness to it, and I always found that an uncomfortable size to work, which is one of the reasons why the first issue of this, I worked Golden Age size, because I like that. It's not quite square, but it's closer.
It's like almost magazine in a way.
Yeah, definitely. But it's all.
Dude, so I love this Green Lantern figure in the layout, and I love the whole last panel, layout to finish. Just seeing the rough that he did, because I'm sure he just took, like I said, took these and then just threw it on a light box, and did his full pencils, from this.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, I just love it.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to look at that Green Lantern figure in the layout. You can see he's focused on that rib cage, the stomach muscles, but that rib cage is really emphasized in the layout. That's really interesting. I love that guy in the foreground too. That arm that's bent back. That's so dramatic, and it's so cool to see him from that point of view.
I think I would love to have seen and who knows, they probably don't exist. But it would have been great to see the next stage, which is the full pencils.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That
absolutely.
would have been really cool to see what his pencils looked like back then. Because I've seen copies of his pencils from the 80s and 90s, but from this era, I've never seen copies of his pencils.
I guess there wouldn't, unless he photographed them like Kirby did. You know,
I bet they were out there at some point.
You think so?
Yeah.
Maybe Jack probably said to him, "You ought to photo." You know, I mean, because Kirby always did, right? We've seen all those.
Well, I mean, he photocopied this stuff.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
Maybe he did photocopy. Maybe they do. Maybe his family's got them somewhere.
Yeah. Now I love, once again, just the entire page. Every figure of Green Lantern is just really cool.
Yeah.
The first panel.
Yeah.
That, you know, the fourth panel where he's walking towards the guy, then that low angle last panel, just
you know, one of the things I love in Kane is he's not afraid of showing the figure from behind.
No.
You know, the superhero, the star of the show from behind. And he draws a great back, you know.
Yes.
The back muscles, all this really nicely detailed and you know, described there. They're really, really well done. That figure.
Yeah, and I used to hate. I didn't. Well, I take it back. I didn't hate drawing figures from the back. I just was always adverse to it. So I'm like, people would probably rather see the front.
Yes.
But then it just hit me where it's like, not if you do it cool.
Yeah.
And Gil Kane does it cool.
Yes.
So if you do it cool, back shots are awesome.
Yeah. They can be very dramatic, you know. And
yeah.
It really is. It really is dramatic. One of the things that's interesting, too, is in these early issues, and I'm not sure if this is true of his 70s and later work, but you can see Kane is not, like, Kane describes the figure through linear means. Whereas when you look at somebody, even like somebody like Adams, right? Adams is very, his forms, both Kane and Adams are very volumetric in their drawing. We have the figures are round, they're volumetric, they've got form, very different from Kirby, who's very kind of flat, but equally powerful. But anyway, Kane is not dealing with light. How light, it's all line, really. You know, when we look at this, the inker might, whoever the inker is on a particular issue, might be dealing with filling in those ideas of light and dark. But you can see Kane is not really concerned with light. But whereas Adams goes right to, you know, immediately he's describing the figure not only through linear means, but also through, you know, volumetric means, through hatching, through light, through the use of heavy blacks when he needs them, and Kane is not so interested in that. And I'm trying to think later on, even still, I think he thinks in terms of line and structure, but he's not thinking so much in terms of light and dark.
Right. Yeah. Well, Neil's pencils, they're really, well, back in the 70s and 80s, I think later on they were a little looser because even when somebody else was inking them, because I saw some of the pencils he did for the last thing that inkers worked on, which was Batman Odyssey.
Yeah.
About 2012, maybe it was. And they were still tight. Don't get me wrong. But compared to like pencils he did in the 80s and stuff, they were definitely a little looser, actually. And he was doing more line work and stuff later on too, compared to back then.
Yeah.
But he used a lot of side of the pencil and stuff. So guys like Tom Palmer were just perfect because they could go in and interpret that stuff so nicely.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. And Giordano, you know, always so great. But yeah.
Look at the power of that punch.
That's fantastic. Look at that page. That's incredible. That is incredible. You know, and I love the layout so much.
Yeah.
It's just, that's an incredible shot. And what a great dramatic, you know, this is the kind of drama, you know, using that in this case, almost a full page that Kirby does so well. But is, you know, it's the kind of thing that Kane is obviously, he's got full command of it. And it's got such impact because he doesn't overuse it, you know?
Right.
But
see, this would have been great. The one thing that bothers the crap out of me about this I will say, and if I was the inker, I would not have broken the panel border with his foot in that last panel because he's in the background.
Yeah.
And by doing that, I mean, there's nothing, it still works because the guy's so big in the foreground, but just by breaking that, and this guy's not breaking any panel borders.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying.
That's that rule where you're like, well, now you're saying that guy in the background's really big.
Yeah.
Because he's breaking something that's in the foreground that's supposedly in front of this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. So his foot, the villain's foot should be popping there also.
Yeah, well, and this is unfortunately before full bleed.
Yeah.
If this was if they could do full bleed back then, I just would have bled this whole panel off, or I would have just drawn the guy's foot in the foreground off the page and his arm and the sword hilt.
Yeah.
And honestly, I would have drawn the sword hilt cutting into that first panel anyhow. But I can see why he didn't, because his foot in that first panel lines up perfectly with the sword hilt, so it would have created a bad tangent.
Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, you can see that. I'm thinking about what he would, the better thing to have done, is take Green Lantern's foot and somehow, move it. If you're not going to break the panel border,
he could have just kicked that leg back a little bit and boom, it would have been inside the panel.
Yeah, and I think I see what you're saying there. Because it does create that kind of discrepancy, that kind of paradox.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's a tiny thing, and I really think it's funny because talking to editors way back, early on and stuff, that stuff an editor, if you brought samples in, would definitely pick out, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely.
But then, of course, once you're in the business, an editor wouldn't say a damn thing. It's like, oh no, you're in.
It's Gil Kane.
And right, and at the same time, I get why an editor would pick that out, but no casual reader is going to look at this page and go, wait a second.
Yeah.
Wait a second here. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah. Nobody's going to say that. I know what you're saying. No. I know. Listen, I never would have even thought about it until you mentioned it. Now, and I, I never would have thought about it, but I think I would have thought about it if I'd been drawing it myself. Yeah.
Oh, if I was drawing it myself, I definitely would have been like, nope, got to pull that foot in. Dude, look at the foreshortening. This last page, once again, it's a half page, and he did a caricature. I think that's him. So, see, this is what I was saying, because I knew there were 2 half pages in this book. But just once again, this was written probably, Green Lantern standing over the fallen bad guy.
Yep.
And then panel 2, one of the Guardians looking on a view screen at, Green Lantern and the bad guy. I don't know if I really don't know if it would have crossed my mind to go, oh, he's standing over the bad guy. I don't feel like drawing barely any of the bad guy. I'll just throw his feet in the foreground and draw everything back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. I know. I would never, I'm saying to myself, okay, I get this description. What would I have done? This would be the last thing I would think of doing. And it's so wonderful. I mean, it really is wonderful. It's like, he loved doing this. He loved foreshortening over and over and over again. And he does, really, he's a master of it. There's very few people who compare when it comes to this kind of foreshortening. Shortening, and this is fantastic. It really is, and you do get the feeling, it's funny that I never question the perspective. I never question when I look at this whether Green Lantern's leg, his calf and his foot are lining up properly with where he would be standing over the guy's head or something like that. I never have that question. It just feels right,
right.
It's not.
Well, and I think that's part of it. I think when you're, at least when I try and do stuff like this, I just go with what feels right.
Yes.
But at the same time, my eye looking at this can kind of see how big the dude's head would be.
Yeah.
And I still say that Green Lantern is probably 1.5 foot or more away from that guy, the top of that guy's head.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think so too. I definitely think so, because this guy's, you can sense, the perspective here, how big his shoulders are and how big his head is, and definitely Green Lantern's got to be farther away, but it doesn't really matter because it works,
Now I just want to see who. Yep, I was right. Denny O'Neil wrote it.
Oh, hey, Denny's on board. All right. Wow.
Yeah, because it's issue, what did I say, 68?
Yeah.
So issue 68, Denny, I don't know when Denny started, but that's who Neil was working. And it was inked by Joe Giella.
Yep.
So I got that right.
Nice. Yeah. Well, it's definitely, Sid Green stuff is more linear. It's more like Gil's own inking in a way. But this is Joe Giella. Wow. There's a name.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Good stuff.
But I know there's one issue we also want to go through, which is, let's just do this real quick. So, 55 backers, 1644 is where you're at.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's see, right here. So we want to go through this Marvel team up.
Yeah, got it right here.
For a specific reason. Let me just close these windows down. Okay. So, guys, we're going to go through this Marvel team up. Let me see. I want to make it so it fits. There we go. Because it's inked by 3 different guys.
Yeah.
So we're going to go through and see if we can call out who inked what pages. It's inked. It says by everybody, which it's funny. That makes it really sound like there's 5 or 6 inkers on it.
Yeah.
But if what I found is true, there's 3. Frank Giacoia, Mike Esposito, and Sal Trapani.
Yeah.
So,
man, and this
I'm telling you, I think this first page is, because I don't think Sal was this tight. I think it's Esposito.
I think it's Esposito too, and because I'm thinking of his work on Ross Andrew, and the buildings on those Spider-Man issues. I think you're right. I think this is Mike Esposito. I was actually looking at the cover, and I think the cover might be Giacoia, but you'd have to chime in there. But anyway, or maybe it's Romita. No, I
don't think it's Romita. I think Romita, even though Romita's really bold like Giacoia, I think Romita's slicker.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think in Gil's faces when Romita inked him, you could see more Romita.
Mm-hmm.
And even though the only real face is the Mole Man because Reed's is too small.
Yeah.
I think if that was inked by Romita,
you'd
see more Romita in it.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely
agree. I'll go with you. I think it's Giacoia because Giacoia's rendering isn't as clean as Esposito's is.
Right. Which
you can definitely see on this first page with like the legs and stuff.
Yep. Yeah, I think you're right. I think this is Esposito. So then, like going to the second page.
I think it's Trapani.
Do you?
If I'm saying his name. Yeah, because Giacoia's feathering, if you look at the rendering on Spider-Man on the cover, it's thicker.
Yes.
It's not as delicate.
No. This is definitely, like, you can look at the line work in that lower left panel. And you can look at the variation in the line around Spider-Man's head in the close-up, that beautiful, tapering of the line there. I don't think Giacoia was that sensitive in his inking. It's always kind of a rougher, kind of blockier quality to Giacoia.
Yeah, and I think, like when I first looked at Spider-Man's legs in that second to last panel, and even the 4th panel, I actually thought Coletta, because the rendering was so fine, but Coletta's outlines weren't this smooth.
No.
They were thick, but they were chunky thick, not smooth thick.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Are you a Coletta fan?
I am on Kirby's Thor.
Really? Okay.
Oh, yeah. And, Coletta inked a couple issues of The Flash over Gil Kane.
Did he really? I don't think I've seen those. Okay. Yeah.
I think they're like I think they're in the 190s. Because I bought them. As soon as I found out Gil drew them and Coletta inked them, I was like, oh, I got to get those.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll have to look those up. That's interesting. But I've always loved Coletta's romance stuff, because he drew beautiful girls.
Yeah.
And
But now, are you talking his inking or drawing too? Because he drew some of that stuff.
Yes, he did. I like both. I like
Yeah.
all of his romance stuff, really, his inking and his drawing. And the Thor stuff, I'm so used to Thor being inked by Coletta that, in those years, that I'm fine with it, but I always wonder what somebody like, Sinnott would have looked like on Thor in the mid 60s. But
I think I always said I like Coletta on Thor over Kirby because Thor is supposed to be more organic.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Coletta's line was. Yeah. Whereas Fantastic Four was so high tech.
Yeah.
I think Sinnott was perfect because he was so slick and clean and gave it that nice slick polish.
Yeah. I think you're right. I like what you said there. The organic quality of Coletta's stuff on Thor is appropriate, to that.
Yeah.
Strip. Yeah. Yeah. Would have been too much maybe with Sinnott, Too.
I think so. I think the figure work, I don't know. I think even the figure work, because if you look at like Thor's arms and stuff, Coletta would get in there and you'd see more thin pen line and it was more illustrative.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, I don't know. It just, when I think Thor, because once again, it's fantasy, quote unquote, barbarian in a way. I see that organic nature. But once again, let's say that Sinnott was fast enough to ink both books. Right now, we'd be going, oh my God, Sinnott was perfect for both. Because we never would have seen the difference,
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's true.
But look at New Gods, right? Coletta inked some New Gods over Jack. And to me, I don't think it worked as well because New Gods is like Fantastic Four. I think it should have been slick.
I agree. I think, and I love Royer's work. I love
yeah.
So I was always, it always made me happy when the change went over to Royer from Coletta. Because, and Coletta was, abbreviating some of Jack's stuff, and I don't know. I I wish some of those issues had been done by Royer right from the start. But so be it.
See, it's funny. I know people like I can't remember who it is. A friend of mine, I think he likes Royer more than Sinnott, but I like Sinnott more than Royer.
Well, again, it's what Jack is drawing in a different way by the 70s. Royer's got this ability to bring out that chunky flatness, that's happening in Kirby's the real graphic quality. Sinnott is Sinnott's figures are rounder, right? And Sinnott's he emphasizes the kind of more rounder form, the more organic kind of approach, not so much the graphic approach, although obviously with Kirby late 60s and you're dealing with all of that stuff, you're going to have that heavy graphic element, but Royer really emphasizes it. So you're dealing with two different approaches, I think, and I'm pretty happy with what Royer brought to Kirby in the 70s. I think it's appropriate to that stuff. I don't think I want Sinnott on New Gods or on any of the Fourth World stuff. But hey, like you said, if he'd been there, Sinnott was such a master that I would.
Yeah, you just would have accepted it.
I would have, But it's an interesting.
I think this page is Esposito.
I agree. Yep, I totally agree. I was looking at some of the line work there. It really feels like, and there's even a hint, Esposito's work over Andrew, it was so much of that stuff, right? He did Andrew's work. There's a little bit of Andrew that kind of pops in. Maybe in some of the face at the top of the page on the left. I definitely feel like this is Esposito too. So
it's funny. As much as I love Gil's stuff, there's still characters that I'm like, I don't know if he got a handle on. I don't mind Reed, but he didn't do enough Fantastic Four for me to go, he was great at it.
Yeah.
But I don't think, and same with Neil Adams, neither one of those guys did a really good version of the Thing.
Yeah.
I think Gil did it better than Neil, but like the few times Neil did the Thing, it just, he was just trying to like give him a neck and stuff. No. It's like, you don't give the thing a neck.
No,
and
comfortable being. It's interesting too because Neil did in his advertising agency. I mean, Neil did all kinds of character design that was cartoony. I mean, he did all kinds of stuff. So it's weird that he would come to the thing and kind of trip up there, right? It's kind of odd because he was capable of doing, the whole range of different stylistic approaches.
And he was capable of aping stuff.
Yeah.
So he could have easily taken like the Kirby proportions of the thing.
Yeah.
But just done it, drawn the same proportions, but Neil.
Yeah.
If I'm making sense,
Yeah. No, I could see that.
But he didn't.
He didn't. No, it's weird. Yeah. No, I think the Thing and the Fantastic Four can throw folks a curveball, because, the Thing is definitely a different approach to character design than Mr. Fantastic or the Invisible Girl. It's like all of that. Anyway, it's interesting. Now I'm looking at this page and I'm looking at that feathering that's in the close-up of what's his name, the basilisk.
You're talking about panel 4 in the foreground.
4. I'm looking at that cheekbone and I'm thinking that's not Esposito and that's not Giacoya.
I think it's Sal.
I think so too. Too. Yep. Wow. Okay. Very cool.
Which is weird how they break this stuff up because you think there'd be chunks.
Yes.
You think, unless Gil wasn't working in order, and it was like another page came in, take it, guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Whoever is in the office that day or something. I'm not sure how that would have been assigned, but it's definitely like that. It's like the pages came in, or they just handed here. You take this, and they didn't think about chronological order, but because it's definitely not in chronological.
No, I think it's definitely Sal. Even the Spider-Man head in the first panel and last panel, that outline is so thick on just the head.
Oh my God.
It's like, dude, it's not a coloring book. That outline doesn't need to look like that.
Right. I know, but I love it. I think it's great. I like it. But that it is, the head is so much, the line there is so much thicker than the hand, which is, in terms of space, right?
Oh yeah.
The heavier line should be that thing that's in the foreground, but the hand is actually a finer line than the head, which is strange.
And with just the flat color, the hand almost sets back instead of coming forward.
So we look at the kind of feathering on that page, and then you go over to the next page, and you look at the feathering, and the feathering on the next page looks like it's done with a pen, a crow quill, rather than like I'm looking at the cheekbone. Whether I'm looking at the first panel of Reed Richards or I'm looking at the last panel of Reed Richards, looking at those cheekbones, I think that's a crow quill. I think this is Giacoya. Oh, do you?
I don't think it's Giacoya. I thought Giacoya was just thicker overall.
Yeah.
I don't know. Now I'm confused because I'm also looking at the outlines on Spider-Man's head.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. I was going to say it was I don't think it's Esposito, but I didn't think it was Giacoya. I think Giacoya, and I think more brush than pen, but maybe not.
Well, it's like, look at, oh man, this is a tough one because the feathering on the previous page feels a little less like it doesn't feel quite as scratchy, I know. The line feels more fluid. Like some of them are done with a brush, some of them are done with a pen, but I'm coming over to this next page and the lines look more uniform, right? Particularly like the close-up of Reed's face in panel 3. Those lines are fairly uniform, and it definitely says pen, but it's hard to tell, man. It's really hard to tell.
I don't know. I mean, and look, the site that I got those inkers' names off of could be wrong. There could be more.
Could be. Well, yeah, it could be more. Well, we go down to the panel on the lower left there, where Reed is we see Reed's back and he's up at the machine there, and look at how kind of chunky that is. The line work there. That's again, it's confusing.
And it really could have been because I've seen it before. It could have been somebody in the office, or an assistant, and they were not an assistant because they wouldn't let an assistant usually do something that important like a face like that. But it could have been another pro.
Yeah, it could have been.
And it was like, oh my God, I love Gil Kane stuff. Well, here, ain't this face?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but we're talking about Giacoya's chunkiness, and if you look at like Spider-Man in the first panel, and you look at the area around his legs, right now his butt, that thick kind of chunky line, blocky kind of line around the crotch. You go down to panel 4 again and look at the hip there, in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
To me, that feels like Giacoya. So I'm just gonna say I think it's Giacoya. But
all right, we'll go with that.
Somebody else may have a better idea. So then we go into the next page, man. The
next page, that doesn't even look like it. Like, it looks like somebody redrew the mouth on Reed in the last panel.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It really does.
It looks like a Jack Kirby mouth, actually. It doesn't even look like a Gil Kane.
I know, that's weird.
But see, I think this is Giacoya.
I do too. I agree. I think this is Giacoya. Look at that forearm of Spider-Man in panel 2, right? That's Giacoya.
Yeah.
That's Giacoya.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, the thickness of the feathering compared to Esposito.
And this is definitely a brush up there, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's definitely a brush. But then we go down to that drawing of Reed, and that drawing of Reed in that final panel, that's pen work. So, but the hand is Giacoya. Look at that.
Right.
That hand,
I don't know. The face, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that face.
It's kind of, the nose is a little Remetta.
Yeah.
I wonder if Remetta touched up the face some.
Well, he was known.
Thought it needed it.
Yep, it was known. He was known to do that. Somebody might have fucked up the inking. I don't know. And Remetta came in and said, "Straighten this out" or something. But I think they were working quick too. I think they're definitely working quickly. They're like, we got
back then, sure.
So I think the next page is Giacoya also. What do you think?
I can definitely see that in a Spider-Man figure with the way the feathering is and stuff, and even Reed's figure in that first panel.
That's what I'm thinking too. It's the Spider-Man said to me Giacoya, but it's too heavy for Esposito, I think.
Yeah.
And it's not. It doesn't show any of the signs of Trapani's stuff.
No, there's none of that real fine stuff that
No.
Trapani did.
Yeah, I'm saying Giacoya there.
I'll go with that.
Okay, but the next page. Oh, this is Sal Trapani, don't you think?
Yeah, if you look at that bottom panel, Reed.
Yeah.
The face, the rendering on the face is so different from that big headshot we were looking at before.
Yeah.
It's not as precise. Like you were saying, it's more scratchy.
Yeah. And the second panel,
which I would think, but then it's weird because like the faces have that, but then like on the mole creatures or whatever they are,
it looks
he's like, I think I'm going to use a brush and get real chunky.
Yeah, maybe it's like I got a lot of figures to draw here. I'm just gonna wing it and go through it quick, because it feels like that. It feels like if you look at the upper arm, the bicep of the character in the third panel, right? That shoulder feels like I just did that real quick. It's like there's no thought to that. It's almost like somebody is just working so quickly. But when we look at Reed in the second panel, that says to me that's look at the hair and all that says. I think
look at the hair and just the rendering on his cheek and stuff. It's not as clean as Esposito. Or controlled as that Giacoya.
Yeah, although Spider-Man in that first panel, his arm looks like Giacoya. I don't know.
Yeah, well, his arm does, but then this last panel, that Spider-Man looks like Trapani because the feather is not as clean.
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
Who knows? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they jammed on pages together.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they did.
Because you got to look at it like this. If this job had to be done, like I know in the 90s and stuff, because I was part of jobs like this, where there were multiple anchors, they didn't care if they lived in the same area, right? They just be like, you can do it, great. You're going to get 5 pages. You can do it. You're on the West Coast, great. You'll get 10.
Yep.
But back then, since it was so New York central, it wouldn't surprise me if it was these guys working in the bullpen all at the same time and not even taking stuff home. But
yeah, I think you're right. I think this is a job that came in late and they needed to get it done quick. And these guys were in the office, or around, and because it almost looks like sometimes like, okay, Frank, you're going to ink the Spider-Man figures. Sal, you're going to do Reed Richards on this page or whatever. Almost feels like that,
Yeah. Man, that Mole Man face.
Yeah.
Once you actually kind of look at it.
Yeah.
It's just like,
yeah,
that is such a bad ink job.
It is such a bad ink job, and it's done so.
Oh my God. The tip of the nose goes right into the upper lip.
Yep.
And you're just like, oh, dude, you should have made the bottom of that nose heavier to pop it out from the lip.
Yeah.
Oh.
I know. It's yeah, definitely. It's not really thought.
This has got to be Sal.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right.
It's got to be.
Man, so the line work and the cross hatching in some of the places is just so, it's just so awkward. Not awkward, but just there's no finesse to it,
No.
It's
like, dude, we're using a pen that was just like garbage and you didn't want to throw it away.
Exactly.
You don't want to bust out a new pen point or something, or was your brush like totally crap and you're like, I can get one more book out of this brush?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, look, I've been there. I've used the brush until it's like, okay, just throw it away, Smith.
Yeah.
Throw it away.
Oh man, this is great.
But I've never been there to this point. Like my tolerance for bad brushing is a lot.
Yeah.
It's pretty low. It's like, so gotta go.
No, man. No. So
I don't know, this tech page.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
I almost think it's Sal because of how weak some of the outlines are on the machinery. It doesn't have that Giacoya boldness.
Oh, no. And I think the same thing would be true if you were dealing with. Now this is where I would want Giacoya or I would want Esposito to be dealing with this, because I think those guys were stronger inkers. But
I mean, Sal wasn't just an inker either, right? Didn't he pencil as well?
Yeah, but I honestly, I'm not all.
Or did he just? I'm not either.
Yeah, I'm really.
I thought I remembered him being, but like I said, I think Giacoya and Esposito would have made this tech, more Jocinity.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. So then we go to the next page. And I'm thinking, wow, this may be. It's not Giacoya. I don't think it's Trappini.
I think it's Esposito.
I think it's Esposito too.
If you look at some of the controlled feathering on that Captain Marvel figure.
Yep. I think
it's very like, I guess the way I describe it is it's almost like counting, like, all right, I'm feathering this forearm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, done. Next. I'm feathering, it's just really controlled looking compared to Esposito, whose feathering I think is just thicker. The forearm on the left hand side near the balloon pointer of Captain Marvel, on the bottom of his forearm. I think if Giacoya did it, it would have been denser.
Yes, I agree.
And closer together.
Yep. Well, what gives. When I look at Esposito, it's funny, but I'm always thinking of Ross Andrew, and when I get the one little thing that gives it away to me is the Mole Man's ear in that third panel.
Oh
his right ear, and his left.
Looks like Ross.
That looks like Ross Andrew, and I'm like, this is Esposito, man. This is definitely got to be Esposito.
Yeah,
because that looks like Ross Andrew. And Ross Andrew's got to come through Esposito. They work together so closely for so long.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. So yeah, well, this is pretty cool. I mean, I think it's a lot of fun trying to figure this out.
Yeah. I don't know about this 18. Spider-Man, that's a nice, there's some nice tapering
of the line on Spider-Man in that second panel.
Yeah, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't either. There's definitely, you look at that beautiful line on the forearm, on the underneath, the lower forearm. That's a beautiful, and the way the brush goes into that. Now that's got some finesse to it. The way that brush hooks into the what do you call that? That feathering.
Yeah.
It does so nicely.
Yeah, but then there's breaks. Like if you look at his hand in the foreground,
yeah,
breaking the line on knuckles and stuff.
Yeah.
Which doesn't lead me to think Esposito or Giacoya. It leads me to think Trapani.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Also, it calls to mind the heavy line of the forearm versus the lighter line of the hand. And again, that same sort of, I don't want to call it a mistake, but that same thing happens in that Spider-Man close-up you pointed out before. That switching of that space. The heavier line is supposed to, we're taught the heavier line is supposed to be in the foreground because it pops lighter as you go off into the distance. But he doesn't have that here. It's like he's got a more delicate line on that hand, which in terms of perspective is the opposite of the way it should be.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Nice.
Right, let's see. 19.
Oh,
that's got to be Giacoya.
19?
Yeah.
That's
where Basilisk is in the last panel.
Oh yeah, that's Giacoya all the way. Look at that, the cave also. Yeah, in the first panel, it's definitely Giacoya. Yep, definitely. You can see it. Again, his lines, the face of Reed Richards. In that close up, look at the cheekbone. That's a Giacoya.
Yeah, well, I think Giacoya was more stylistically tied in with like Ramita when it came to inking, except once again, Ramita was just, I think, slicker.
Yep.
But they had the same, I think Ramita was bolder as well.
Yeah.
But Giacoya got up there sometimes. And I think it's totally Giacoya.
I think that's true of the next page also. I think it's also Giacoya.
Yeah, that's what, like look at the feathering on the back of Basilisk in that first panel and how it's closer together.
Yep.
And stuff. And even like on his forearm and such.
Yep.
Compared to like Esposito, it's more spaced out and more of a gray.
Definitely. Yeah, this is Giacoya. And man, he's working quickly.
Yeah.
You can just see it. There's no second thought given to any of those, the feathering or anything. He's just like, he's jamming it out, man. And I think that if we go to the next page, I think the next page is Giacoya too.
Yep.
Yep. He may have finished
that middle. Well, the hand in the second panel, the middle panel.
Yeah.
The yellow dude in the foreground, that feathering.
Yep. That's
Reed's hair in that last panel.
Yeah, definitely.
Neck feathering.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's Giacoya.
Yeah. So are we talking?
Oh, the next page, though. I think that next page is Trapani.
Yeah.
It's too loose for Esposito, and it's definitely not Giacoya.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Look at the mole man's hair at the bottom. That's definitely not.
Just look at the rendering on his hand in that last panel.
Yeah, that hand. Oh,
Giacoya and Esposito would have been a lot more controlled.
Yeah, that is really kind of, again, the same mistake with the line weight. And in this case, this is, again, I think you're right, this is Trapani. You kind of see that there's this kind of looseness that was in Reed's hair in that one page back a ways, and we look at the knuckles and the hand on the mole man there, and it's definitely got the same kind of feathery loose quality, almost like it almost feels brittle to the point it'll fall apart.
Well, I mean, I even think the special effect burst lines in panel 3 where the mole man's hitting the dude, I think those are just too loose for Esposito and Giacoya as well.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree. Yep. Okay. I think we got this nailed, man.
I do.
So we go to the next page. Where are we now? Okay. Now this is not Trapani, I don't think.
It's it's probably Giacoya. Look at the feathering on Reed in that first panel is once again closer together and tighter.
Yep.
Or not tighter, but just closer, more dense than Esposito.
Yeah, and that heavy like shading on Reed's arm, right? That and on Spider-Man, that kind of strength and power, that's Giacoya. That
I got to be honest, that does not look like it's Gil Kane pose coming at you with Reed in the first panel, but that doesn't look like a Gil Kane pose. There's no twist to that body.
No, and look at the arm; it's like fucked up.
That arm is like the forearm looks like Gil, but the upper arm doesn't.
Right.
The arm going back looks like Gil to an extent, but that torso doesn't really look like Gil, and the head is just, that's weird. I wonder if Gil drew it, and when it came in, they were just like, basically it had too much finesse to it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's too stiff.
It is too stiff. It's very awkward. It doesn't, you're right. It does. And the position of Reed's head is not like Gil Kane.
No, once again, the neck is just really, his head's turned, but his neck is straight up and down.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't.
It almost looks like it's redrawn.
Right. Yeah.
Head around.
It's like they kept some of Gil's stuff and then got rid of some of it.
Yeah, for some reason. One of those stupid.
Because the legs look like Gil.
Yeah.
Because he always did the one up and the one down.
Yep.
And the arms kind of do, but the torso just really doesn't. And even the chest muscles don't look like Gil.
I know. Yeah,
that's weird.
It's weird. I think somehow, I don't know. I think almost like that figure's been redrawn.
Yeah.
Wow. This is really.
This next page has got to be Trapini.
Yeah, again. I agree. Yep. He's got that tapering line that's kind of inconsistent, like the hand, on the first panel. I mean, I love to see that tapering line, but in the way he uses it, it's kind of, there's no spatial consistency,
Yeah.
Anyway, okay.
And the rendering isn't
and it gets really thin down at the bottom.
Yeah.
The lines feel very light, like we're losing the drama of the page before with Giacoya's ink is kind of lost here. It feels again very brittle. And that figure at the bottom of Basilisk feels like he's going to fall apart.
Yeah.
He's
and then the last page, I think it's Trapini as well. Just looking at some of the rendering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is Trapini.
Like that Captain Marvel figure in the last panel.
Yep.
I think Giacoya and Esposito would have done a much better job.
Yeah, and look at Rick Jones over in the left, right?
That face, the hair,
the line quality all through that. That's Trapini.
Yeah,
we've done it, man.
We did it.
That was a hell of a day's work. That's
right.
I just want to make a plug for my favorite inker on the man, on Gil Kane, and that is Tom Sutton. Right. This is some people may say it's overly rendered, but I just love this combination. I just love these guys.
Yeah, I think Tom did a good job over him.
I think he did.
Palmer did. I think Joe Rubinstein did a real nice job over Gil.
Yep. I think there's something really dramatic and atmospheric about Sutton's work on top of Gil Kane.
Yeah.
In this particular set of issues, the Giant Size King Conan story. I love that stuff. Some of my favorite comics of all time. Man.
Well, we've been going for almost 2 hours, so let's dive back into yours real quick.
Okay.
That's not it. Where is it? It's right here.
There we go. Daiquiri Jones, man.
That's right. Daiquiri Jones, guys. It is a 20-page newspaper type format. 20 or 12 by 15 inches. You can see that.
Yeah.
What it looks like when somebody's holding it. Nice and big. It's like reading the news and not stapled. It is not stapled like a real newspaper.
That's right.
So go check it out, guys. The link's in the description below. There is 14 hours left.
Wow.
So you got time.
Yeah, and also
go ahead.
You can pledge late too. I don't know how long that lasts for Kickstarter, but you can pledge late, but don't try do it during the campaign, because if we bring up we bring it up to a certain level and get me to stretch goal, we definitely you want to do it before the campaign ends, because it won't be applied towards stretch goals.
Right. And right now from 2000, you're, oh my God, 456 away. God, if Dennis was here, oh nope, 356 away.
Yeah.
Dennis would still bust my balls, but I corrected myself quick enough to where he'd probably still be impressed with my fast math skills. So,
that was excellent. That was good.
Yeah, thank you.
Well,
so done. Not too far away.
Yeah.
14 hours, $356 away from a stretch goal of this nice pinup.
Yeah. Yep.
You did. Very nice.
Based on Gil Kane, and I did that one. And there's going to be a one-page strip of Dak Jones after hours in the comic also. So
oh, nice.
Yeah, that'll be kind of fun. It's kind of fun. And he's imagining what her life is like when she, takes off the skull cap and tries to relax after beating the crap out of a bad guy. So,
very nice.
Yeah.
So guys, go check that out. That is link on the description below. Of course, KOR-DRATH, The Awakening, my new project. Oh my God, I did quick math again. 997 away from 50, which is the first stretch goal, which is the Vordoom. Why am I scrolling? I have it here as an image. I can just bring it up. Let's see, where is it? Right here, the first stretch goal, the Vordoom playable character card. Vordoom on the front by myself and Dan Lawless, and the back has stats that Dennis wrote, easily transferable to any of your favorite role-playing games. But of course, we'd rather have you get the KOR-DRATH game module volume 2, brand new game module that you can play using the KOR-DRATH characters. We got preview pages up for you guys to check out. So please do that. KOR-DRATH is back with Adriana. They need to fight for the Shattered Reach and stop Vordoom from trying to take control of the Shattered Reach. Can they do it? You need to get this book and find out. There's a lot of battles going on in this book with some undead creatures fighting against Adriana, KOR-DRATH, and the Black Eagles tribe. Pretty big size battle with a dragon takes place at the Black Eagles tribe. So you'll definitely want to check that out. Back it so you can see it. Lots of different cover options to choose from. The featured tier features KOR-DRATH, The Reckoning, the first book with a new Budroot cover for the second print, and the volume A cover of this. So yeah, guys, go check it out. And if you're into miniatures and role-playing games, of course, we've got the KOR-DRATH figures for the role-playing game, a 2-inch, a 3-inch, and a 5-inch version. Dealer's choice, you pick what size. It comes in that nice clamshell packaging. And Chris Thacker does great paint jobs on these. If you've watched before, you've seen the paint job he did. We've got the new Adriana t-shirt featuring Budroot's art, matched perfectly with the Lilith t-shirt. So check that out as well. And I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up KOR-DRATH, A Christmas Miracle, the children's book. That's right. We're doing a all ages children's book. It's actually going to be 28 pages. I said 24, but that's 24 story pages. And then there's the end papers and stuff. Soft cover children's book. It's based on the easy reader format. So if your young one is learning to read, you can help them along. If they're just starting to read, they could read this by themselves. Totally meant for kids. We're also doing an activity book, which is the whole story in black and white, plus extra pages of connect the dots and word search and crosswords, all good enough a kid can do. We had Dennis test it, and he was able to solve the stuff. So if he can solve it, your kid should be able to, because it was right on his level. He's not here, so I can say that. And then, of course, we're doing an adult version, which means we are swapping pages out, and it's labeled right on the cover, mature version. So on the left, you see, oh, look at that. KOR-DRATH runs into a bear, gives him some Christmas cookies, and goes on his way. But in the adult version, it doesn't end too well for that bear. So there are multiple pages in the book like that. The story theme is the same. He's on a quest to find the perfect gift for Adriana. And stretch goal wise, the first stretch goal is a KOR-DRATH and Adriana cutout. It's 8.5 by 8.5 heavy stock paper, so you can cut it out following the directions and stand it up on your table.
Cool.
So there you go, guys. Go check that out. The featured tier is all 3 books: the children's book, the activity book, and the adult version for $37. So you're saving 11%. So go check that stuff out as well. And thank you, mods, for posting links. Thank you guys for joining us today, and our guest Jeff for coming back onto the show and talking Gil Kane.
Yeah,
who we both love.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we might we'll probably have to have you back and pick another artist to talk about. Man, I love talking art.
Yeah, maybe Alex Toth or somebody like that. It would be cool.
Yeah, and definitely another classic, Jack Kirby, Neil Adams, so many great ones.
Oh, I'm always happy to talk about, the classics, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll have to try and wrangle another artist friend of mine or two to make it more of a round table as well.
Yeah, that would be so good. That would be great. I'd love it. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, dude, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Let me see here. What is this? Gray Morrow. You know who that is, right?
Oh yeah, of course. Sure.
Yeah, I've got a nice art book. Well, they only did one about Gray, but it's good.
Yeah.
He did a book called Edge. Wait, damn it, what was it called? Edge of Chaos.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar.
Came out in the 80s.
Oh, it did.
Really cool.
Wow.
Really cool. Yeah.
Awesome, man.
If you haven't seen it, it's Edge of Chaos. They reprinted it oversized. It was like 3 issues, I think. So.
All right. I'll look for that. Yeah. I haven't, Gray Morrow is one of those guys who's like, he was, if you're thinking of tiers, Kane, Adams, Kirby, then Gray Morrow is one of those guys who sort of in the background. I think he wasn't working as often as those guys were.
His stuff was more illustrative.
Yeah.
And his stuff didn't have the dynamics needed for comics.
Yeah. Yeah. So
it was more like not in the drawing sense, but in like the camera angle sense. It was more Alex Raymond.
Yeah.
I mean, he did close-ups and stuff, but it was always more pulled back and just not in your face with the dynamics. Now, he did do a job. I think he drew it. It was a backup in a Archie Red Circle book.
Oh, cool.
And I think Neil inked it.
Oh, wow.
I'll have to go back. Now I gotta look. But anyhow, I can't remember.
Yeah.
His work was very commercial. What's up, Brian? We're about to sign off, but thank you for popping on. I know Aaron Lepresti's Graybeards is probably going right now, and Dan Frag is a guest on that, so you can jump over there and watch those guys draw some stuff. I think their theme is 80s action hero. But that's it. We'll be back. We'll have Dennis and I are seeing the movie Maxine tomorrow night. We'll drop a movie review on Friday morning for that. Next week, we're seeing Deadpool, Wolverine, and there you go. So we'll be back next week. Dennis will be here for the DNA show. So thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us. Go back these campaigns, links in the description below, and bye-bye, everybody.
See you.